All right, hello and welcome to the 14th episode of The Mechanics of Poetry, where we try to get into the nuts and bolts of poetry itself. And this episode, as suggested by one of our regulars, Chris Askew, is going to be, how do you create a Villanelle? And that question is meant to be worded so that there's room for individuality here. And I'm going to start off. I think that's really going to demonstrate the point, because I'm going to share with everybody a Villanelle I wrote back in 1982 when I was going to Cal State LA and studying creative writing with Dr. Henry Coulette, a legendary fellow at Cal State LA. Even before it was called Cal State LA, it was called Los Angeles State before it was called Cal State LA, and that's ancient history. But I can definitely say this, I was the last of the Diablos. 1983 was the last class at Cal State LA of the mascoted Diablos. The Summer Olympics came to Los Angeles in 1984, and I guess they thought our mascot was too demonic, so they changed it to the Golden Eagles. Oh yeah, that sounds so pretty. But enough about that. I'm gonna bring on my Villanelle and tell you, before I even show it to you, that Dr. Henry Coulette, I loved his creative writing class so much that I looked at the rules, right? And the rules were, to get credit, you could take creative writing up to 3 times to get credit for each time you do it. But I said, to hell with the rules, and I took his class 9 times. I didn't care if I got credit. I just enjoyed creative writing. Henry Coulette, he was someone who read poetry so reverently that you could make anything sound good. And I guess he had to when you had young students trying out things for the first time. And I tried my first Villanelle, the one I'm going to show you, and he said, Don, and that was the first time he ever called me Don in class. Don, that was a brilliant failure. And I was so honored. Yeah, and here is that brilliant failure. Share screen. A passionate little poem. Just for those who may be newbies, Villanelle is 19 lines long. It has 6 stanzas, 3 tercets, and a quatrain. And really the fundamental thing about it is that you are playing leapfrog with the rhyme. There's only 2 rhymes in a Villanelle, the rhyme of the first and third line and the rhyme of the second line. So basically, when I taught this at in the California Poets in the Schools program and high schools around East Los Angeles, I would have the students come up with 1 line. They could say whatever they wanted, and it had to be like 8 to 12 words long, just so I could get them in the neighborhood of iambic pentameter without freaking them out. And when they created that line, their next task was to create another line that rhymed with it, again, about the same length. So in my case, I wrote, breathe my love to sense our beautiful day. So I was definitely influenced by archaic poetry, the Romantics, you know. And then I came up with the rhyming line, do not live your life for another's play. So day and play, very easy, obvious rhyme. The next step is the one that kind of sets up the whole poem, and that is you come up with the middle line of the first stanza, and that line does not rhyme with the other 2. You can say whatever you want as long as it does not rhyme with the other 2, because what you're setting up is your second rhyme. So I said, you are my reason I come to beg this. This does not rhyme with day or play, so that's cool. That sets up my second rhyme, words that rhyme with this. And then words that rhyme with day or play is the first rhyme. So I would have the students in the margins of their paper make rhyming lists. I say, see if you can come up with 5 words that rhyme with day, or whatever your word is, And then for the second one, 5 words that rhyme with this, right? Then you have the words to play with and you possibly use in your Villanelle. And about the only thing left I can say about it is that these lines play leapfrog. The first line is also the third line of the second stanza. It's also the fourth line of the fourth stanza. I mean, the third line of the fourth stanza, hard to explain. And the third line of the sixth and final stanza. Now that other line, the one that was written to rhyme with it, is the last line of the third stanza and the fifth stanza and the whole poem. So by writing those 2 lines, you've written 8 lines of your 19-line poem. So you've written over a third of the poem just by writing 2 lines. This is the kind of logic I would use on the students to make them think, oh, this is easy. Well, okay. That's all I can say. Here's the poem. 1982, I was 22. Breathe my love to sense our beautiful day. You are my reason I come to beg this. Do not live your life for another's play. I see you busy molding encountered clay, those who fit themselves into your success. Breathe my love to sense our beautiful day. If true is not your favorite mind, stay, wait with dignity to perceive its kiss. Do not live your life for another's play, for Satan's arms will always have a say. Still, we have this moment to just express. Breathe my love to sense our beautiful day. You say I bore you now, you turn away. This time is for lust, breathe love's blue mist. Do not live your life for another's play. Look into my eyes, for the laughing trees sway. My soul is your field, my heart sows our bliss. Breathe my love to sense our beautiful day. Do not live your life for another's play. Okay, so that one felt pretty good. And like I said, Dr. Kulis said it was a brilliant failure.
What did he think was a failure about it?
I never asked him. I was too happy that he called me by my first name.
Yes.
Yeah, but it must have been the meter. It must have been the meter because I knew nothing about meter at that time when I was 22. I learned it later. I learned it enough to teach it, but back then I had no idea, none at all. I was just going by syllable count, pretty much. Yeah. So, on that happy note, I can turn to the man who suggested this idea. I'm sure he's got something to say about the Villanelle, everybody. This is Chris Askew.
All right. First thing I'd like to do is read the classic one that everybody knows. As soon as I can find it.
Learn from the best.
The one from Dylan Thomas. Do not go gently into that good night. It's
Classic.
I'm the poster child for Villanelles, partly because it works so well in doing all the things that a Villanelle excels at, but also because it's a rich poetic experience. It really grabs you. And some of the same thing can be said of Elizabeth Bishop's Villanelle as well.
One art.
It's not nearly so well known, and certainly
Yeah.
Seamus Heaney.
Dylan must have been pretty young when he wrote that Villanelle, right? He wrote most of his poetry in his early 20s, right?
Yeah, but he had worked more on meter by that time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I wonder if the Villanelle has any basis in song, because it does such a tight rhyme, and it's such a repetition.
It's one of those things that you look at and say, I can't do that. And when I read mine, you'll see why. I'll share screen.
Yeah, here we go. Been a while since I've seen Dylan.
You got it?
The shared content is fit to your screen. To see the original size, click original size. Something going on with the size of what you're sharing.
Well, let me make it smaller.
Yeah, maybe. Never had that problem before.
No.
Yeah.
I haven't even
The only rule I know for screen sharing is if you have it on your screen already, and then you go over to Zoom. That's what I do. I put it on my screen, then I go to Zoom, then I bring it up. That seems to work for me. But you might already know that.
Let's do that. Share screen. Try the smaller one.
Hey, that worked. There we go.
Dylan Thomas, do not go gentle into that good night. Do not go gentle into that good night.
We lost it. We lost it. I don't know why. You click something and we lost it.
Whoops.
It was there, and now it's just a strip. There we go. Okay.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise men at their end knew dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning. They do not go gentle into that good night.
Yeah.
Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail leads might have danced in the green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
Pretty good, Dylan. Pretty good.
That for me has always been the classic.
That's the classic Villanelle, I'd say. Yeah.
I think that's too, or at least that's the one that all our poetry professors do and like to share with us. So, I won't take the time right now, but the other thing that Villanelles do well is to be funny. And to, because a repetition kind of does that to you anyway, and it's fairly easy to pick up a line that has a little different humorous cast every time you repeat it. But I don't have a copy up of one. One of those is Seamus Heaney's, essentially a salute to Harvard. Actually, there it is, if you want to see. A spirit moved. John Harvard walked the yard. The atom lay unsplit, the West undone. The book stood open and the gates unbarred. The maps dreamt on like moon dust. Nothing stirred. The future was a verb in hibernation. A spirit moved. John Harvard walked the yard. Before the classic style, before the clamored, all through the small hours of an origin, the book stood open and the gate unbarred. Night passage of a migratory bird, wing flap, gown flap, like a homing pigeon, a spirit moved. John Harvard walked the yard. Was that his soul? Look, sped to its reward by grace or works, a shooting star, an omen. The wood stood open and the gate unbarred. Begin again where frosts and tests were hard. Find yourself or founder. Here, imagine a spirit moves. John Harvard walks the yard. The books stand open and the gates unbarred.
Wow. I've never seen this one before. This is amazing.
Yeah. And have you seen Sylvia Plath's? That's even more fun but tragic at the same time, partly because you know the story behind it. Sylvia Plath, no, I don't have it.
Is it up there?
Oh, it's in here.
Well, there's Elizabeth.
Yeah.
It's
There we go.
There it is.
Love song. I shut my eyes and all the world drops dead. I lift my lids and all is born again. I think I made you up inside my head. The stars go waltzing out in blue and red, and arbitrary blackness gallops in. I shut my eyes, and all the world drops dead. I dreamed that you bewitched me into bed, and sung me moonstruck, kissed me quite insane. I think I made you up inside my head. God topples from the sky, hellfires fade, exit seraphim and Satan's men. I shut my eyes, and all the world drops dead. I fancied you returned the way you said, but I grew old, and I forget your name. I think I made you up inside my head. I should have loved the thunderbird instead. At least when spring comes, they roar back again. I shut my eyes, and all the world drops dead. I think I made you up inside my head.
Brilliant, brilliant. No surprise there. Fantastic. Passionate
One of the things that
and
you,
downplaying at the same time, right? That's that dichotomy going on in the
yeah,
Villanelle.
and also notice that she plays a little fast and loose with the end rhymes, at least of the middle lines.
Yeah,
Not terribly, but enough to let us realize that, like most things, the rules are meant to be bent. In Villanelle, probably not broken, or it wouldn't be a Villanelle, but at least bent. And most of these people, well, Elizabeth Bishop did that too, will do this. But
there's
now,
a lot of ins there, but only name's the only one that goes the farthest away. But otherwise, you got insane, gallops in again and again twice. So yeah, she fudged a bit, but hey, if it's a good poem, it passes.
okay,
Definitely.
share with you what I did with it.
Yeah. So the New York Times had this slideshow that you can watch about the Villanelle, right?
Yeah,
We just
and
weren't mentioning that. So
if you guys want to see that, what I just showed you, uh, give me your email addresses in the chat, and I'll email it to you. I found out that I've got a few free shares that I can do that let other people read without a subscription.
yeah, I want to see an Askew Villanelle. Sounds like a good thing.
I think so. This is, I will say, from my Elizabethan period.
Well,
But,
here we go.
Intentions. Whatever thy intentions be, who dares to cost me in my bower, I have no wish to meet with thee. I turn deaf ear to divers plea, disturbing thus my prayerful hour, whatever the intentions be. Although with show you promise me fine furs and diamonds for my dower, I have no wish to treat with thee. I'll not be swayed by bended knee, nor soulful sigh, nor moon-plucked flower, whatever thy intentions be. Though thou avowest eternity of passion, rapturous in its power, I have no wish to meet with thee. Yet, if within thine eyes I see the light of love all dark devour, whatever thy intentions be, I will not wish to part from thee. And one thing I did
You
to
did the
help,
variation on the last line. That's another thing to point out, that you can do variations of the lines.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just to give myself a prototype in case I wanted to do it again, but feel that same kind of restraint that all those poets have. I know I should write more Villanelles, but I just can't do it. But
Never,
this is structure, a sort of a visual of what the structure looks like. You can see where the first line repeats, where the second line repeats, and how the rhymes go. And that's basically it for a villanelle. If you haven't tried it, guys, I sure hope that you will. It's worth doing. And given what we have seen from these other greats having done with it, there's a lot of potential, and it's not as twee as some of the other earlier formats.
it's a fun thing to try, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. All right, we're going to head now to a wonderful special guest today. He's a well-published writer who is, I think we can safely say he's an expert on rhyme. Frankmundo, you may say what you wish about the Villanelle, sir.
Thanks, Don. So actually, like I've written a lot of Villanelle. I've attempted to write a lot of Villanelle, but I think only two that like made it out of the heap. It's always really hard for me. I write excruciatingly slowly, and it's always hard for me to do something, because I had a maybe I was a teacher that messed with me about rhyming poetry, and they said it wasn't like for serious writers. It was for sentimental. It was it wasn't as good. Yeah, it's not the same. He didn't think it was as legit as I don't know, prose poetry or other poetry. So this is what I focus on, and that it's always bothered me. So it's kind of in the back of my head. I always want the rhymes to be smooth and not to kind of disappear more than you can predict it or something. But with the Villanelle, you're predicting. You already, like you said, you already know 8 of the lines based on the couplet that you write in the beginning. So this was hard for me. I was able to get 2, one where I follow the rules really closely, and one where I play on the variation of the second part of the couplet. But so I'll read those 2. The first one's called Midway Upon the Journey of My Life. Although my life is only halfway through, and age with stealing steps has shown its claws, there's still a lot of dying left to do. Friends and family, those I look up to, so many lost to universal laws, although my life is only halfway through. Since life spent waiting, wasting in the queue, and no one can escape death's dropping jaws, there's still a lot of dying left to do. Each year I outlive someone else I knew, while more get dipped in blue and wrapped in gauze, although my life is only halfway through. If time's a bloody nightmare coming true, and growing old's a bloodbath without pause, there's still a lot of dying left to do. Another year, another dropping shoe, reminds me that I need to live, because although my life is only halfway through, there's still a lot of dying left to do.
Wow.
So that was my first attempt that made it through the process. And like I've seen what you guys have done, that template, I do the same thing. You got to make that template where you put the lines in, and then you kind of come up with the end rhymes.
Yeah, the scaffolding, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have that, it's really easy to get into nonsense, and like the poem can go off into just crazy stuff. So like that's a great tip, to have to have it all set up. Think about your end rhymes, words that can rhyme. And, you're gonna need a lot of rhymes for the second one. So it's important to do that for me. And then so the second one I did was I did a little variation on the second rhyme. I just changed one word in each of them, each of the 4 versions, just to see what effect it would have.
Mm-hmm.
Like an experiment. And I think it came out pretty well. So I'll read that one. It's called Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. Just hold me, my love. Hold on to me tight. Close your eyes, sleep, forget what we discussed. Let's not talk about tomorrow tonight. I'll find another job. We'll be all right. It's not like health insurance is a must. Just hold me, my love. Hold on to me tight. Our school loan payments are a little light, but interest rates rarely ever adjust. Let's not stress about tomorrow tonight. And since when are the experts ever right? One market booms so another can bust. Just hold me, my love. Hold on to me tight. Hold on to the truth that if we unite, we can survive on faith, on love and trust. Let's not guess about tomorrow tonight, because change never happens overnight. We, like the stars, slowly turn into dust. Just hold me, my love. Hold on to me tight. Let's not lie about tomorrow tonight. So you can
Wow.
see the variation. So like let's not lie about, let's not guess about, let's not stress about, let's not talk about. So just one word variation, and the rest
Love that
follows
poem.
the
Love
pattern.
that poem. It goes from down to earth up to the stars. From humor and seriousness all wrapped together. I wonder, you have these on paper? You're
No,
reading?
I just had them. They were just from my thing. I don't have like
Yeah.
any way to
Is it
share it on
possible
there.
for you to show the page of each of those poems? Just put it up to the screen for a minute so that if anybody wants to freeze this video, they could try to look at your poem.
Let's see if I can get it.
And then we're going to pitch the book after. Okay, so there's the first one. Okay, that's a good look.
The second one's on the screen here, so I don't know if you can see that one's on the.
And that one's on the screen. Oh, we could have shared that one. You know how to share
Wow.
screen?
Well, I can't do it because like my hearing is, I have to be on the phone, so
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
Okay, well,
So I won't be able to do it.
that's okay. At this point, I want to definitely let people know about what you've got available for sale. So you said you have a new book, and of course you can talk about your older books as well. Would you like to go ahead and do that, Frank?
Awesome. So the new book is coming out. It's called 11 Sundry Flowers. It's a sonnet sequence. It's coming from Antrim House Books on July 12th. Like I don't have a copy yet, but my proofs are coming, so I should have that soon for the sending out all the pre-sales. That's a pretty cool book. I wrote it for my wife when we were dating, and I always wanted to get it illustrated, but my brother was like, he passed away and it never happened. And then years later, I found a guy whose art was very similar to my brother's style, and it finally worked out. So it took me many years, and for the last 3 years, I've been keeping it a secret from my wife because I didn't want her to see it. So now I think it was just Monday I got to show it to her, and it was really cool to do that reveal. So that's coming out. So I think the book that I'm sort of best known for is the Brewberry Tales. That's like my version of the Canterbury Tales set in Los Angeles after the LA riots. So like a bunch of security guards get together and swap tales for a little competition, and it's all written in verse. So it's like a 65,000 word rhyming poem. It's a lot of fun, and it's this 10-year anniversary for the book. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere. It was 10 years. I can't believe it's been 10 years, and it was a bestseller early on for the first couple of years on there. It was one of Amazon's best-selling poetry books. So it's been a while since I hit that, but I'm really proud of that. Yeah. Thanks, Don, for letting me talk about the books. So
Yeah, thank you, Frank. I'm really looking forward to that new one. Feel free to come on an
totally.
episode in a few weeks so you can show it off. That's going to be something else.
Totally. It's really the art is amazing.
I think there's one more fellow here in the Men's Villanelle Poetry Club. James Coates, what do you got to say about the Villanelles, sir?
Hi, Don. Glad to be here. So yeah, I think it's like 4 like main points in the Villanelle: the length, the rhyme scheme, the repetition, and the ending. And so, as was mentioned, we have the 19 lines. The first 5 are the tercet, 3-line stanzas. And then the 6th stanza containing the 4 lines. And then the rhyme scheme is the A, B, A. And then the final stanza is the A, B, A, A rhyme scheme. And then the first line has the refrains. that repeat throughout the poem, and again with the third line, and then that ending with the final two lines being a couplet, and both of them rhyme. So that's kind of the breakdown. I like starting with rules in poems as far as forms go, and then trying to break them, manipulate them to do what I want them to do, because I'm a rebel like that. And so I have two villanelles I want to share with y'all today. Let me pull up on share screen the first one. You can see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this villanelle was written about the camps that were set up for immigration, and I wrote it last year. And so it's got some modifications, so it's not exactly the traditional villanelle. It's titled Innocence. No more children locked in the cage, innocence lost to a system. Equality lies dead on the page. The abuse makes my anger rage, too mature to voice delusion. No more children locked in a cage. The guards leer despite her age, cold, sick, and scared in confusion. Equality lies dead on the page, treated like animals atop the stage. We've lost all sense of moral inclusion. Add more children locked in the cage. They try to find escape or mage to wish the family safe reunion. Equality dead lies on the page. Listen to the wisdom of the sage. The day will come and freedom sprung. Never again children locked in a cage. Equality lives off the page.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of poets use iambic pentameter for their lines. I'm not a huge fan of iambs because I'm not good at it. So I traditionally don't use that meter. But yeah, this was my first foray into the villanelle.
Excellent, excellent.
And I got one more for you. This one was written recently, and it was written for a dear poetry friend of ours that passed away this week, Doc Whisper, also known as Peter Yo. And he started the Facebook group, right, where we're individuals type endlessly, and it I post a lot on there, and he would always like remind me to like keep posting and celebrating writing together. And so I really miss him, and this is what I wrote. What is left? Nothing is gone but what is left. Still, there's no pain in a better place. Everything is the wage paid to death. Fortitude and failings both rest in flesh. Brightest lights come from the darkest space. Nothing is gone but what is left. Sudden passing snatches breath. Pray a peaceful slumber in grace. Everything is the wage paid to death. No more battles of enormous heft, for memories grin in morning's face. Nothing is gone but what is left. No matter loss and body's theft, a voice lives on beyond this race. Everything is the wage paid to death. In art and love, my brother bereft, wishing for a hug, chance to embrace. Nothing is gone but what is left. Everything is the wage paid to death.
Ooh. Two excellent villanelles. That's why I only showed one. I have one excellent villanelle. Good work, good work. A good variety of villanelles here just from the four of us. I would say to wrap up, we'll make this episode short and sweet because writing a villanelle can be that way too. Really, the luck is in coming up with those two lines that rhyme. They're usually associated with each other, as you can see from these examples. And then the villanelle kind of writes itself, right? You do the twists and turns, the leaps and the frogs, getting down to the union at the end. And they become a married couple, those two lines together for the first time at the end of the poem.
Don, can I mention a little bit about the structure? I forgot, like construction.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So yeah, for me, the process starts with writing the first line that's going to go through and having it be something that can carry weight throughout the whole poem because of the repetition. And then comes writing the third line because it has that rhyme. And then plugging them into the whole poem. And then from there, I try and pick a second line with the ending word that has enough rhyming words that make sense, so that I know I can kind of get through all the 6 necessary lines that rhyme for those middle lines. And then from there, I try and build out what makes sense after I put those ending words in there. And so, yeah, that's how I try and construct it.
Well, you know, your villanelles are thematically very unified. It's really a good way to create a villanelle. You know, you're trying to keep the initial message and carry it through, right, with variations of the message, right, examples. That makes for a really tight, cogent villanelle. It really has something to say. So those were excellent examples, and I enjoyed everybody's examples, even those poets who have passed on. They're remembered for good reason, and I'm sure there are more villanelles out there. So just research those villanelles and feel free to post them in the notes, the messages, or what do you call it? The comments. Yeah, the comments below this video. This video is going to be on YouTube in a couple hours. You can watch it at your leisure. I want to thank Chris for the idea. I want to thank Frank for spending some time here. I know he was on a short time frame, so we just finished in time for his departure. And it's nice to be able to depend on James to offer something substantial every time. So it's good to have you guys, and hope to see you next week. Okay.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Don.
Stop the recording here.